Hi, I'm Mike Harding, it's Harding Auto Services. Just going to do a video today on the Volkswagen Golf Mark II project that we've been working on really for the last 2 years to give you a bit of a background as to why we did it, what we've achieved, the results and the process of getting there basically. So I hope you enjoy the video. I guess the best place to start is I've got a passion for Volkswagen, a background in racing of Volkswagen, so for me it was a natural choice to pick Volkswagens to do this project with. And I also enjoyed the versatility of the platform and how good the MQB platform is now, and the versatility in terms of drivetrain options. You know, we can go 2-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, front-wheel drive, 4-wheel drive if we choose to. So as a solution and as a kit or a crate solution from an engine and drivetrain, if people wanted to go down that route, it gives us maximum flexibility. So there was lots of wins. There's also some environmental factors. You know, we were looking at how we could integrate a Mark II Golf and a Mk7 Golf, and perhaps take some cars that may otherwise be discarded or thrown away and repurpose them and recreate something that's a combination of the two, so that we're kind of recycling and reusing rather than coming up with something completely new. So there's lots of kind of ideology behind it, and also we wanted to push ourselves, and you know, we've got a fantastic skill set and a fantastic set of tooling in the building, so we wanted to see what we could do and what we could achieve, and just use sort of passion and knowledge to drive a project through, see if we could really make something that really stands out and holds its own, and something that was going to be something we were proud of basically. And I think that's what we've achieved really, and I think over the last couple of years we've learned a lot, and you know, hopefully all of that knowledge will impart in other areas of the business and for our customers. So you know, it's a continual learning process, and I think that that's something I think we've achieved and that we've then used and delivered in other projects in other areas as well. So yeah, there's a lot of aspects to it. Passion was kind of at the forefront, you know, my Volkswagen background, and really just trying to do something that pushed the boundaries. And you know, I know there's an element of just because you can do something doesn't mean you should, but also sometimes if you don't challenge yourself and you don't push yourself, you don't realise what's possible and you don't realise how far you can go. And I think that, you know, we've kind of raised the bar a little bit on this one and raised our own bar. So, you know, something that I'm proud of the guys, I think they're proud of the project, and something that we can look back on and be, you know, really fond of in terms of memories. So yeah, I think that that's it really. That's where we're going to start. We'll talk about the process, we'll talk about how we got there, and you know, it all started off with this sort of stage one of the build, which was, you know, taking the two cars. Both cars were really destined for the scrap heap, and we sat down and talked at length at the beginning about how we were going to interact and how we were going to get these two cars that had the same DNA but were completely different in terms of wheelbase, weight, layout, floor pan, you know, everything. So we had to come up with a concept of how we were going to do that, and that stage one process of trying to find the right vehicles and finding the right way to integrate them, and how we were going to make that all work, that was a big discussion, and we kind of worked our way through that and got to the point where we were happy with the concept, but then you had to turn something from paper into reality, and then we set about really taking the cars apart, dismantling them, looking at, on the Mark II case, look at the rust, look at the structure, how we're going to take a frame and a chassis and a monocoque that's going to handle perhaps 100 to 200 horsepower and maybe make it something that could handle 500 horsepower. So we had a lot of development work to do with the body shell and the chassis, and a lot of rust repair to do as well, because obviously, you know, 40-year-old shell, there's going to be a bit of rust there. So we worked our way through, we corrected all the corrosion, we changed the layout of the front and the rear to accept an MQB front and rear subframe, and at the same time we did some strengthening and some rework of the chassis so that we knew we weren't going to have any problems. So that first initial phase was about kind of pulling all of those things together, getting all the concepts and the ideas, and then moving through to all of that extensive bodywork, restoration, all of the concepts of integrating the two subframes from the MQB into the Mark II, the planning, the layout, the jigs that we had to create to make sure we got the alignment correct. So yeah, that phase was hard work. It really meant that we were able to dial in and adjust the suspension and geometry setup so that we could get it absolutely in line, and we came up with some really good solutions actually, and actually managed to keep it all within the floor pan of the Mark II, so that it didn't have, you know, lumps and bumps sticking out everywhere. The only things that we realised quite early on was the wheelbase was a lot wider, so we were going to have to do something with the bodywork to accommodate that, but that came next. Okay, so the next phase was to really think about how we were going to increase the structural integrity of the frame, since we've done all the upgrades to the floor pan, and we kind of made everything we could as strong as we could in the floor to be able to suspend the engine, to suspend the subframes, but also we wanted to look at the rigidity of the car overall. So obviously at this stage we then split the concepts. We went down the route of we're either going to have a track version of the car or a road version of the car. At the moment, what we've got at this second in time is a track version with a full roll cage. So obviously, pretty standard concept to tubular roll cage for a car. That gives us the strength and the rigidity. It did obviously mean that we had to take the sunroof out of the car, which you probably saw some videos and pictures early on of us opening the roof of the car like a baked bean tin. And that's essentially then left us with a nice smooth finish for the roof. And it's also given us the opportunity to get a full proper cage in there. So this version of the car, the track version, is fully caged, but the road version will actually only have a half cage. Once we got to the stage of really finishing all the structural and the framing and the business end of the chassis, we obviously started thinking about the cosmetics. We'd obviously, that stage, we've got the engine in, we'd basically come up with our mounting points for the engine and gearbox, and we'd started laying out our drivetrain. So we had then done structure, we'd done all the rust repair, we'd basically done all of the things that we needed to do to integrate the two cars together. And then we separated everything. We blew it all apart. The car or the frame went off to the guys over at GT1 in Byfleet, did a fantastic job with the paintwork on the car, and we set about doing all of the engine and gearbox work. So we've obviously done quite an extensive rebuild on this engine with a fully forged setup, ported head, numerous upgrades to materials in terms of pistons and valves, so that the engine can hold and withstand the kind of pressures that we're going to be putting it under. Fuel system upgrades, turbocharger upgrades, custom exhaust, all of the things that come with making a performance engine, as well as all of the really important temperature control for engine cooling, oil coolant, DSG cooling. So everything that we could to kind of mitigate any future problems. We've also then rebuilt the gearbox, so the guys over at Bristol Transmissions helped us out with that. So everything in terms of the drivetrain has been upgraded, ready to handle the power. And actually we've got a setup here where we're not running enormous amounts of boost out of the Mk2 turbo, but we are getting really good performance figures, and the idea being that whilst it is going to be a high performance engine, we're not going to be pushing it beyond its limits, and we're not going to be straining components beyond their natural, usable, desirable limits. So we're not going to have risk of failure. And that was a big thing for this car, because obviously it's going to be something that if we offer it out to a prospective new owner, we need something that we can be sure is going to be reliable, and it's going to be something that's going to be repeatable either on the road or on track. So, you know, we wanted to make sure we were within those stress strain limits. So yeah, then we basically had the two components, disparate components, separated. Body was off being done. We got on with getting the drivetrain done. And then it all came back together last summer. And we then sort of set about integrating physically everything into the car for the first time. And we got the engine in, drivetrain, we've got the brake system, the suspension, the steering, everything started to dial in with a fully packaged body, and then it was on to the next stage. The next stage was electronics, wiring, software development, and that's where the fun started, because obviously we were putting an engine and a gearbox package together that hadn't really been done as a standalone solution before from the MQB, so an awful lot of development went on there. The next stage of the car was all of the electronics, the wiring, the interface really between the driver and what the car's doing and how the car's handling and performing. So right from the word go, obviously we'd taken away and stripped out a lot of the Volkswagen controllers. In fact, the only Volkswagen controller left now is the mechatronics in the DSG. Otherwise, we've basically gone for a concept of, we wanted to keep the dash. I really wanted to keep the kind of the Mark II shape of dash. So that we've maintained that, but we've obviously put in the AIM MX2 dashboard with the steering controls and all of the functionality there for the gearbox selection and some of the lighting and the light switch down the center. So we wanted to keep the layout the same, so it actually felt like a Mark II Golf inside. You know, we're not trying to, you know, convince anyone that it's not, but we'd also wanted to try and pay homage to that kind of statement that we were really sticking to the history. So we managed to do that and integrate it all in. There's obviously some retrimming and things to go on in here. That's the next phase of the cosmetics. But what we really worked hard on was keeping that feel, getting all of the modern electronics in there, and basically keeping the feel that you were still in that kind of age and era of car. So what we've done is we've integrated that dash in. We've managed to hide things like our electronic brake booster kit down here, because obviously we've got an electronic servo and no vacuum servo on this car. Kept all the wiring hidden and out of the way and trunked out of the way. As much as possible, we've gone solid state. So there is a small fuse box at the back, but you know, we have the most of the car is actually run solid state with a modern power distribution module, which is running all of the 12-volt systems. And obviously what we've had to do in the back here is we've had to do some work with the floor, mainly because we've put the MQB rear subframe in, which has meant we've gone to a fuel cell system in the back for a fuel supply, which has had the added benefit actually of us being able to have a proper return system for the fuel to keep the temperatures down, which is, I'm hoping, going to be a big plus, especially for track use. So yeah, the structure and layout inside is very, very Volkswagen. Obviously with a modern twist with our control systems, and the wiring and all the components, we've tried to kind of keep in keeping with that kind of Volkswagen mentality. So yeah, that's been the physical installation. I suppose the hardest bit has been the software development. You know, we've been staring at laptops and computer screens for weeks, developing all of the CAN protocols to get all of these things working, to get the shifters working without a DSG conventional Volkswagen shifter. We've had to do that all through the steering wheel. We've done an awful lot of work on reverse engineering some of the VAG CAN protocols. Really been helped out by SCS Delta and AIM with that have kind of been on board with the project from the beginning. So yeah, we've really have kind of pushed the boat out in terms of what was possible. A lot of information from our suppliers and a lot of work at our end to try and tie that all in together, get all these systems talking, so that we've got a functional car at the end of it. And that's probably been the single hardest part of the whole project, really. I think anyone who's built these sorts of cars will realise that, you know, it's one thing making it and building it, but actually the software is what ties it all in and makes all of these systems work. So it's been a big part of the project. Several weeks gone into that and a massive amount of resource, a lot of head scratching, a lot of pulling hair out and definitely getting a lot greyer, but we've kind of got there now. We're over the hump, and we've got these systems all working and jiving together nicely. So we're really happy with the result, and I think we've managed to do it in a way that I'm happy with, that's discreet and Volkswagen, but also all of the modern 21st century twists that we can throw. That's all development that's had from generations of motorsport, and the way that that's all developed over the years, and then pulling that into essentially what is more functional as a road car, but with that kind of track pedigree alongside it. But yeah, this has been the kind of goal of the whole project. We're not trying to lose that identity. We're just trying to sort of maybe improve a little bit in areas that we think could do with improving. And some of it is just simply fitting in the technology that we've needed for the car. So, you know, things like the electric brake system, there just was no room for a servo So we've had to come up and borrow an idea from our electric vehicle counterparts and run that system. So yeah, which is one of the things that we've learned actually, and really added to our list of things that we've learned and know about now, do's and don'ts, and it's kind of been an education from that point of view. So yeah, big learning curves. Fantastic result. Guys have done a brilliant job. Really happy with this part of the build. Yeah, the next phase is to get it onto the dyno and get all that working and get the performance figures that we're after.